Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ray. I'm a detransitioned male, and today I want to talk about the psychological hangups that trans women have when dating men, because there is a massive insecurity in regards to whether or not these men that they are dating truly see them as women. And I think there's a lot of confusion in regards to the psychology on the men's side in regards to why would a man date a trans woman? Is it because they truly see her as a woman? Or alternatively, is it because they have some sort of like special preference or specialized attraction or paraphilic interest in trans women? They have a sort of essentially a kink for trans women. and so this is obviously a controversial area, but I wanted to share this Reddit post here, which I think is illustrative of the psychological underpinnings of trans women dating men. So this trans woman writes, boyfriend accidentally misgendered me. Hey, I'm looking for some advice about my cisgender boyfriend accidentally misgendering me today. Essentially, what happened was we were out with a couple of his friends, and one of them asked him a question about me. I was walking slightly ahead and overheard him respond, "Oh, you'll have to ask him, sorry, her," referring to me. I hoped I didn't hear, but unfortunately I did. I got all sad and quiet after that, and he noticed it. He was clearly feeling bad, but didn't know whether to bring it up, so just tried being extra attentive and caring towards me, hoping that might help. At a convenient moment, I just straight up asked him if he'd misgendered me earlier, and to his credit, he was honest and said that he had. He said he was sorry, he felt awful, and he didn't know why he did it. Actually, yes, he does know why. He just didn't tell you. He looked genuinely remorseful and confused. I've since asked for some space so I can process things until we can have a longer conversation next week. Ultimately, I'm pretty devastated and just don't know how I can fully trust him again. I'm fairly androgynous in my presentation and consider myself a non binary she, they woman, whatever that means. So maybe that's a factor. Even then, he's never treated me as anything other than a regular woman in the 6 months we've been dating, alone and with others, and I know he clearly cares about me. I'm sure he thinks he's ruined things now. Am I right to be upset by this? Does he secretly see me as a man? Or am I being too harsh and it's just a weird slip up we can recover from? Any and all help is welcome. Okay, so there's a lot to discuss there. So, first of all, it is not a weird slip up. The brain, our unconscious minds, our brains are wired to detect sex, not gender identity. So unless a trans woman is 100% passable, such that, nobody can tell that they, are born male or born female, when you are gendering a trans woman, there's some part of the brain that just sort of has to do a sort of cognitive dissonance. There is a cognitive effort to suppress your natural instincts. And so you sort of keep two ideas in your mind simultaneously. In the back of your mind, you know that this is a natal male. And yet your brain uses she her pronouns. Now, you can become habituated to this such that it becomes habitual to use she her pronouns, and you don't have to think about it that much, but nevertheless there is still a small amount of cognitive effort expended in order to suppress the brain's automatic and natural perception that you are looking at a male person, someone who is born male. And the brain automatically, from evolutionary development, cares about the distinction between whether you are born male or born female, because that tracks onto the actual sexual dimorphism of the species. It tracks onto the objective reality in regards to whether this is someone you could potentially have a baby with, for example, because heterosexual men typically care about whether or not you can have a baby with a potential partner, and in the back of your mind unconsciously you just sort of like detect whether someone is male or female. So this question of like, oh, do they see me as a man? They absolutely see you as male. And the brain automatically sorts males into a different category than female. So even though habitually out of habit, you might gender them, treat them like a woman. And in the back of your mind, you sort of know that is actually a male bodied person. Your brain treats them differently. So this is not a weird slip up. This is actually indicative of how the vast majority of people, I'd say, regular everyday people, including the most liberal progressive allies there are, they don't truly see trans women as the same as women. They don't. They see trans women as trans women and women as women. There is just a difference. There's just a difference in how people perceive you. So now the question is, okay, so this is a cisgender man and he's dating a trans woman and he sees you as a male because his brain obviously still sees you as a male, which is why he accidentally let it slip that his brain has to fight against the natural instinct to gender you as male. So, why is that? Is it because he's perfectly 100% straight? No. There's this phenomenon called gynoandromorphophilia. Basically, you have an attraction to the basically what might be called the she-male body, the combination of boobs and a dick, basically. Or there's some attraction to feminized male, or it's indicative of a underlying sort of bisexuality. But it's never the case, almost never the case, that a cisgender man, aka just a man, a regular heterosexual man, is attracted to a trans woman in exactly the same way that they are attracted to a woman. Particularly if that person doesn't pass. I mean, this person described themselves as androgynous, so clearly they don't pass. And so that attraction, even though they act as if they treat them just like a regular woman, aka they use she her pronouns. This attraction is based on essentially what is a paraphilia, a kink. Now, in the trans community, they like to call these men chasers. They say, "Oh, you're only dating me because you're a chaser, because you have a kink for trans women. You have a kink for trans women." And it's pretty actually common for men to have a kink for trans women. Now, a lot of trans women in the community think that this is a bad thing. They don't want to date chasers. They don't want to date someone who has a specific preference for women with penises or males, feminized males with penises. They don't want to date a chaser. They want to date someone who is regular straight, who doesn't have a kink for trans women, because they want the men who are attracted to them, they want them to be attracted to them because they see them as a woman. But that's almost never the case in regards to the inner psychological workings of this attraction. It is based on a preference. The man is dating you because he has a special sexual interest in trans women. That is almost always the case. So this idea that you're, as a trans woman, you're somehow going to find a man who's not a chaser. And it's so ironic because they demonize chasers. They kick out the chasers. They say, "Oh, that's creepy, that's fetishistic, that's bad, you're a bad person." They're rejecting literally the only men who are willing to date them, because straight men who do not have this paraphilic gynoandromorphophilia, they don't have this kink for trans women, this specialized sexual preference for trans women. They're not going to date trans women, particularly like if they know that you're male. They're not going to do it. The only men who date trans women are chasers, which is why I think it's better to stop using the term chaser to demonize people, to demonize men who have this specialized interest, and to use another term called trans amorous. They have a specialized interest, a preference. They like trans women. A lot of men like trans women because they relate to them as males. It's two males, two people with male psychology. They get together, they relate, they have common interests. They're often, can be like nerdy or share the same hobbies or the same, or they might feel more comfortable with like another male bodied person. So this is sort of, I think, one of the fundamental neuroticisms of trans women is that they go into this transition under the false delusion that they're going to be able to date perfectly heterosexual men. And it's just not the case. You're going to date men who have a specialized sexual interest in trans women. That's who you get to date. So by transitioning and you're interested in men, you immediately shrink your dating pool down to the chasers. But that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be a chaser. These men, just like some people have a preference for blondes or big tits or big ass or whatever, you know, some men just have a specialized interest in trans women. And yeah, so that's sort of my thought on this, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on this because I think it's one of the more common delusions in the trans feminine community. It's a delusion to think that these men see you as just a regular old woman. It's like, no, they don't. They see you as a trans woman because trans women are trans women. Trans women are not women. Trans women are trans women. And so people who are attracted to trans women are attracted to them because they're trans women, not because they're women. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.